Hi everybody, welcome back to Clues by Sam. It is Sunday, we have a hard one, very nice. I'm excited for it, I hope you are as well. And if you're new here, you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily puzzle where there are 20 people and each of them is either a criminal or an innocent, and we gotta figure out what they are using the clues that they give us. There is no guessing involved and everybody always tells the truth. If you want to play along, there is a link in the description to take you to 2 days. You can play the previous ones from the week right from the website where the daily one is. It's just below the puzzle. And if you want to follow along with me, I'm going to start mine right now and explain my logic as I go. So let's start. With Sarah telling us that exactly 2 of the 3 criminals neighboring Bonnie are in row 1. So Bonnie has 5 people neighboring her and 3 of them are criminals. But 2 of those are in row 1 and there's only 2 people neighboring her in row 1, so that makes both of them criminals. The clue is talking about criminals, so let's not get mixed up there. And there's one more criminal here in row 2 neighboring Bonnie. Now Anna, one of them, says that all criminals below Donald are connected. Okay, we don't know about any criminals below Donald yet. Chloe says that exactly 2 of the 4 criminals neighboring Sarah are in column D. So Sarah has 8 people neighboring her. Half of them are criminals, half of them are innocents. And 2 of those 4 are in column D. So, putting that together with Anna's clue, let's think about Uma. If Uma were to be, since there's 2 criminals neighboring Sarah in column D, let's say that Uma were an innocent. If Uma were to be an innocent, then we would have both Oscar and Zed to be criminals because Sarah needs 2 criminals here. But they will be separated. And Anna says that they are connected. So Uma couldn't be an innocent. She has to be a criminal. And one of the people who are connected to her are going to be the second and last criminal to neighbor Sarah. If it is Oscar, it may be that Ivan is also a criminal because he is in column D and is connected to Oscar. Now, Uma says that exactly one innocent to the left of Ivan is neighboring Gus. Okay, so all of the people to the left of Ivan in row 2 are neighboring Bonnie, and we know that among them there's only 1 criminal, right? Because Bonnie has 3 criminals neighboring her, 2 of which we already know about. If to the right of if to the right of Ivan, there's only 1 criminal, how many people are neighboring Gus? Where's Gus? Gus is to the left of Ivan as well. So that means that the people neighboring him are 1 a criminal, the other one an innocent, right? Because only 1 innocent neighbors Gus to the left of Ivan. So that means that we need a second innocent here in this trio. In this trio. So Gus now is the second innocent. We know that for sure, and we don't need Uma's clue anymore. Gus now says that exactly 2 of the 5 criminals neighboring him are in row 3. So below him in row 3, there's 3 people neighboring him, and 2 of them are criminals. He needs 5 criminals total. So there's 2 people here who are criminals and neighbor him. There's going to be a second criminal, or a third criminal, sorry, neighbor him in row 2, and 2 more criminals neighboring him in row 3. So that's his 5 criminals, right? Which means that Bonnie is not a criminal, because we know the last 2 are down here in row 3. Now Bonnie says that all criminals in row 3 are connected. So same as happened with Uma here, if Karen were to be an innocent, she would be separating the 2 criminals and neighbor Gus in row 3, right? So Karen couldn't be an innocent. She has to be a criminal, and the second criminal has to be connected to her, and the other person is going to be an innocent. Now, it could be that both Nick and Oscar are criminals, so let's leave that there. Let's leave that clue to tell us about it later. Karen says that there are exactly 2 innocents below Donald. We know there's gonna be 1 innocent here neighboring Sarah, so we need a second innocent below Donald, and that could only be Ivan. And now we know that it doesn't matter if Oscar is a criminal or not, because Ivan is not a criminal. And Ivan says there are exactly 3 instances in row 5. So let's think about Sarah again. Sarah has 3 people in row 5 neighboring her, which means that at least 2 of those are gonna be criminals. It couldn't be that 3 of them are criminals, but there are 3. Oh, the clue is talking about innocents, and I'm thinking about criminals. So let's take a step back. So there's 3 innocents in row 5, and Sarah has 3 people neighboring her in row 5. So that means that Sarah's gonna have at least 2 innocents neighboring her in row 5. Why is that? Because if Sarah had more than 1 criminal neighboring her in row 5, let's say that Zed and Wanda are criminals, then there's no way for there to be 3 innocents in row 5. So at least 2 of the people that neighbor Sarah have to be innocents, so that there could be 3 innocents in row 5. Can all 3 people that neighbor her be innocents here? Well, I guess they could. There are still people who could be criminals to total the 4 that she needs. So where else do we look? There's 4 criminals neighboring Sarah. We know that. We don't need Anna's clue anymore. So Sarah says that 3 criminals neighboring Bonnie. We know the third one's gonna be here. We don't need that anymore. 4 criminals neighboring Sarah. 2 of the 5 criminals neighboring Gus are in row 3. There's 3 instances in row 5. It looks like what I need to do next is this. So maybe I gotta think about Oscar. Because what if Oscar is an instant? If he is, he's gonna make both Zed and Nick criminals. And that makes Xena and Wanda both innocent. So that works with Ivan's clue, right? And Sarah's gonna make Kita. I forgot already how to say this. Kita. And Sarah's gonna make Kita the last innocent neighboring her. If Oscar were to be a criminal, he will make Nick and Zed innocents. And now there needs to be a second innocent here, at least. Neighboring Sarah. But it could be that Kita is a criminal as well. So what's disambiguating this? Do I know something about the people who are connected? Ah, this doesn't work because Oscar is separated from Karen. And we know from Bonnie that all criminals in row 3 are connected. So Oscar couldn't be a criminal. But why am I making Oscar and Nick opposites? That isn't given. That isn't given. They could both be criminals. And if both of them are criminals, then everybody here is an innocent. And Kita as well. If Oscar is a criminal, Nick has to be a criminal. But if Oscar is an innocent, that makes Zed a criminal. And then same thing for these guys. Is there a way I can make Kita a criminal? I mean, if she is a criminal, then Nick is an innocent. And that will make Oscar an innocent as well. So do we know for sure that Wanda and Xena are both innocents? Is that what we know? Can I make Wanda a criminal? And if I do, both Xena and Zed are innocents, because we know there has to be at least 2 innocents in row 5 neighboring Sarah. Zed being innocent makes Oscar a criminal, and that will make Nick a criminal. Because Oscar can't be a criminal without Nick being a criminal, otherwise he would be separated from Karen. And that goes beyond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It goes beyond the number of criminals that Sarah has. So one that couldn't be a criminal. And the same thing goes for Xena. If Xena is a criminal, that will make Zed an innocent, which will make Oscar a criminal, and Oscar being a criminal forces Nick to be a criminal, and now we have 5 criminals neighboring Sarah, so Xena has to be an innocent as well. Xena now says that there are exactly 2 innocents in the corners. So there is gonna be 1 innocent in the corner in row 5, and the other person is gonna be a criminal and also in the corner, because there's 3 innocents total in row 5. So Zed and Vince are opposites, which means we need a second innocent in a corner, and there's only Donald left. I'm slow today, am I not? Donald says there's only 1 innocent in between Esha and Ivan. So where's Esha? Well, between Esha and Ivan, there's already an innocent, that's Gus. So the other person needs to be a criminal, and that makes Esha herself an innocent. Now, we don't need Donald's clue anymore. Gus says there's... Oh, we've read Gus's clue, right? Hank says Karen and Kita have 3 neighbors in common. 3 innocent neighbors in common. So Karen and Kita have 3 innocent neighbors in common. They have 4 neighbors total. We know about one of the innocents, that's Sarah. We know about a second innocent who's going to be in row 3. And one of them is going to be a criminal, the people in row 3 that neighbor both of them. So that means that the third innocent has to be Paul. Paul says there's an equal number of criminals in columns A and B. Oh, these people. Well, that's the lower text, doesn't really matter, but I like the colors to be different. There's an equal number of criminals in columns A and B, so we know that these are gonna be opposites, right? So let's say that Nick, we're talking about column B and column C. Column B and column A. I'm thinking about column C, talking about column B, and then I said column B and column C. Okay, again, step back. There's an equal number of criminals in columns A and B, and we know that there's 1 criminal in column B and 1 criminal in column A already. But how do we work this out? Jerry could be a second criminal, which would make Kita a criminal as well, and that will make Nick an innocent because of Jerry. If Jerry is an innocent, let me go finish the scenario so I can explain my line of thought. Now Sarah has all her 4 criminal neighbors, right? So let's say that Zed is the last criminal here. That will make Vincent innocent, so we know there's 1 more criminal in column A. If it were the opposite, Jerry were to be an innocent, that will make Nick a criminal, and that will force Kita to be an innocent, to make 4 criminals neighbor Sarah. And well, Vince could still be an innocent here. So my line of thought was wrong, but I know that Nick and Kita are opposites. But the thing is, I overlooked the fact that if Jerry is a criminal and Nick is an innocent, that makes Oscar an innocent and Zed a criminal. right? Because Oscar couldn't be a criminal if Nick is an innocent. So there's a second criminal in column A, and that will make Kita have to be a criminal. So this works. 2 and 2. And Sarah has 4 criminals. What happens if Jerry is an innocent? That makes Nick a criminal. And that's Sarah's 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, which would make Kita an innocent. And that would force Vance to be an innocent because there's only one criminal in column A and there's already a criminal in column B. So Vance would need to be an innocent to make column B have the same number of criminals as column A. So that means that Vance is always an innocent. There's no way for him to be a criminal, because if he is, then Kita has to be a criminal. And Kita being a criminal makes Nick have to be an innocent. And Nick being an innocent forces Jerry to be a criminal, and now there's more criminals in column A than column B. Does that make sense? So Vance is an innocent. And now that's our 3 innocents in row 5 that we know are exactly what they are. And Zed is a criminal, which makes Oscar an innocent. Oscar now gives us a new clue. Paul has at least 3 innocent neighbors. So that means that Paul is going to have one more innocent neighbor. And have we figured that if Jerry is a criminal, that makes Kita a criminal? Because Sarah needs 4 criminals neighboring her. So in this situation, Paul would not have 3 innocent neighbors. So we know that Jerry is an innocent then, which makes Nick a criminal and Kita an innocent. And we are done the puzzle. That took me really long. 17 minutes. Yeah, I feel like I was really slow today, but I did some good explaining. I hope so. And I hope you enjoyed the video. You might have noticed that I'm not live streaming this weekend because it is a long weekend for me, so I'm taking that time to enjoy it with some of my friends and put some stuff in order here at home. Tomorrow I'm gonna do some hiking, so I'm really excited for that as well. And yeah, I'll leave you here for today and see you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam. Bye bye.